I'm Emily, and I want you to sit with me for a few minutes. Maybe pour yourself a cup of coffee and get comfortable, because there are secrets about buying raw land that most people don't find out until it's too late to do anything about them. I'm going to tell you things that folks in my community have known for generations, but don't always speak about to outsiders. And I've decided it's time to break those restrictions and share what I know, because nature's truth belongs to everyone. Now, I want you to take out a copy of this, or better yet, grab a diary and pen and write down what I tell you. I've got my own diary right here, filled with notes from years of watching people make the same mistakes over and over. Raw land, it looks like the cheapest thing a person could ever buy, doesn't it? But I'm here to tell you it's one of the most expensive things you'll ever own, and the cost doesn't show up on the paper they hand you at closing. So let me walk you through the things that cost folks the most, one by one, and tell you what you actually need to do before you ever make an offer. We'll start with water, because water ruins more people than all the rest put together. Now, most folks figure water is the simple part. It falls out of the sky, it runs in the creek, it sits down in the ground somewhere. But on raw land, there's no tap and no town main coming up the road to meet you. The water becomes your problem, every single drop of it, from the first day you own that ground to the last. And here's the mistake I've seen people make over and over. They go out and look at the land in the spring, when the snow's still melting off the high country, and there's a pretty little creek running through the trees, and a soft green patch where a spring bubbles up out of the dirt. And they stand there and think, well, there's my water, I'm set. So they buy it. And then September rolls around and that creek is a dry bed of stones, and that spring is gone, like it was never there. Because it was never year-round water, it was just a season, the snow melt. And now they own the land, and they don't have one drop they can count on through the summer. So here's what that costs you, and you ought to hear the number. It means you have to drill a well, and depending on where the land sits, that water can be way down deep, 300, 400, 500 feet down through solid rock. You don't get to that with a shovel. You hire a rig, and that rig charges by the foot. Every foot down, and by the time it's done, you're looking at $30,000 on the low end, and it can climb up to $70,000, $70,000 for water. And here's the part that really ought to give a person pause. There's no guarantee, none. You can pay every last dollar of that, drill down 500 feet into the rock, and hit nothing. Dry. And all you've got to show for it is a hole in the ground and an empty bank account. That's the gamble of a well, and most people don't even know they're making that bet until they're standing in the middle of it with the rig running. So here's what to do before you ever make an offer. Write this down in that diary I told you to get. First, pull the well logs. Most folks have never heard of such a thing, but nearly every state keeps a record of every well that's ever been drilled in it, how deep it went, and whether it found water. And most of them you can read for free, and almost nobody ever does. Read them. Second, call the well drillers in that area, and don't call one, call three. Ask them plainly, what's the average depth around here? What's it cost per foot? And how many wells in this exact zip code actually hit good water? Third, check the groundwater data for the region. The government publishes it. It's free, it's public, and hardly anybody reads it. Fourth, call the county and ask about water rights, well permits, and whether anybody's ever drilled on that parcel before, and what they found. And fifth, this is the big one, walk the land twice. Walk it in the wettest month, and walk it again in the driest month. Because water that's there in March can be plain gone by September, and the land will not warn you. You have to go and look for yourself with your own eyes in the dry season. And before you close on anything, have a backup water plan in your pocket, whether that's hauling water in by the load or catching the rain off your roof. So you're not betting your whole life on a well that might come up dry. Now the second thing is fire, and this one slips up on people. There are whole stretches of country where the brush grows thick and the land stays dry, and fire out there isn't a question of if, it's a question of when. But here's the trouble, and it's not the one most folks would guess. It isn't only the fire itself, it's that nobody will insure you against it. The big insurance companies have looked at the maps for those high fire areas, and they've walked clean away. They will not write a policy at any price, and the ones that have stayed charge premiums that'll make your eyes water, and there are properties out there that can't get covered for any amount of money at all. So picture it. You build your whole life out there, Every board and every nail and every dollar you ever saved, and if it burns, there's not one soul standing behind you. You carry that whole risk yourself. And it doesn't stop at the insurance either. Living in fire country means clearing brush every single season, cutting the growth back away from your buildings, keeping what they call defensible space all around everything you've built. And out there, that's not a friendly suggestion, that's the law. And it's labour and equipment costs that do not ever end, year after year after year. So here's what to do before you buy, and write this down in your diary. Look up whether that land sits inside a high fire zone. The maps are public, you can find them. Out in California, it's Cal Fire that puts them out, but most every state has something like it. Then get on the phone with the home insurance carriers, 3 of them, 4 or 5, and ask them straight, would you write a policy at this exact address? And if most of them say no, that's your warning, and it's not a small one. Ask about the state insurer of last resort too, the plan that covers you when nobody else will, and find out exactly what it costs and exactly what it covers, because it's usually a good deal less than you'd hope. And take that brush clearing and put it in your budget as a cost that comes every single year, not one time. Because this isn't only a problem out west anymore. Those fire zones are spreading, and wherever you go to buy, the same questions apply. The third thing is the one that ruins folks the quietest, because it doesn't make a big noise, it just bleeds you slow. Most people don't think a few projects ahead before they start building. And on raw land, every single thing you do has a consequence down the road that you can't see yet. Here's how it goes. You put your driveway in over here, and a year later you go to run your water line, and now that line has to bend all the way around the driveway, because you never thought to plan the 2 of them together. You set your solar panels up over there where the sun looked good, and then you finally settle on where the house is going to sit, and now the house is in the wrong spot relative to everything you've already built, and you're out there moving those panels, maybe more than once. You grade one little patch of ground flat for one reason, and you've just changed where every drop of rainwater runs across the whole property, and you find that out the hard way, the first big storm that comes through. So here's what to do, and it costs nothing but a pencil and an honest evening with your diary open in front of you. Before you break ground on anything at all, sit down and map out 3 years of it on paper. The driveway, the power, the water, the buildings, the garden, the animal pens, all of it, in the order it has to happen, and exactly where each piece is going to live. And for every project, ask the same thing. What is this going to affect 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years down the line? Think about your equipment getting around too. Put up a building that blocks the tractor from getting where it needs to go, and you've made a problem you'll be cursing every season for as long as you own the place. And think hard about drainage, because where the water goes when it rains gets decided by the very first grading you do, and if you get that wrong, everything downhill of it pays the price. None of this part is glamorous. It's a pencil and a quiet evening of honest thinking, right there in your diary. But the folks who skip it pay for it 10 times over in the moving and the tearing out and the doing it all again. The fourth thing is a question you've got to be honest with yourself about, and that's how much land you actually need. There's a hunger in people for acres. More land sounds like more freedom, more privacy, more of everything. But here's what every acre really is under the pretty word. Every acre is more ground to maintain. Every acre is more fence line the day you decide to fence it. Every acre is more property tax every single year for as long as your name's on it. Every acre is more brush to clear back from the fire, more ground to walk, more to mow and manage and keep. So before you buy big, sit down with your diary and add up what you actually need. A home site, a garden, room for livestock if you keep them, a buffer for some privacy, space for water storage and septic. Add up the honest square footage of all of it, and what most people find when they do that sum honest is they need far, far less than they thought they wanted. Now, a buffer of extra land does carry real value. I won't tell you to dismiss it, but go in with your eyes open to the cost, because the maintenance scales right up with the acreage. And that cost comes around every year, whether you ever set foot on that back 40 or not. And the fifth thing is slope. Slope land is beautiful, no argument there. The view of a good hillside will stop your breath. But a slope costs you in ways flat ground never will, and you need to know that going in, not find it out after. The driveway costs more, and it washes out in the rain, ruts and gullies, and then you're rebuilding it. The tractor work and the heavy equipment work takes longer, and it's more dangerous besides, because machinery on a steep grade is nothing to take light. The drainage has to be engineered proper, you can't just turn the water loose and hope. And the foundation under anything you build is a harder, costlier job than it would ever be on flat ground. And on top of all of that, hill ground is near always full of rock, because of course it's a hill. So folks figure on building costs running about 20 to 40% higher on a slope than that same job would run on flat land of the very same size, 20 to 40%. Yeah. That's no little surprise to come across after your name's already on the line. So if your heart's set on a slope anyway, and the view does get a hold of a person, then at the very least buy the piece where the part you mean to build on is the flattest part of the whole thing. And walk that land before you buy it. Walk it in good shoes, and then walk it again in rain boots. Walk it in the wet if you can, because those marketing pictures, every single time, make a slope look gentler than your own 2 feet will tell you it is. They do a kind of trickery with the angle of the camera to flatten it out and fool you. Your boots won't fool you. Trust the boots over the photographs every time. And here's one more, a smaller one, but it catches people all the time, and that's fencing. If there's open range anywhere near that land, cattle that run free, then in a great many places the law puts the burden on you to fence them out, not on the rancher to fence them in, so those animals come right onto your ground, through your garden, and leave their mess everywhere, and if you want them gone, you're the one paying for the fence, and fence is dear. There are folks who get quoted $8,000 just to close up 2 sides of a place. $8,000 for 2 sides, so budget for the whole perimeter the day you buy. And remember, this circles right back to acreage. The more acres you bought, the more fence it takes to close them all in. So let me gather the whole of it up, plain and simple, and I want you to have your diary open and ready to write this down. Before you sign on raw land, there are 5 things to do, and you don't skip a one of them. Settle the water first, pull the logs, call your 3 drillers, walk it wet and walk it dry, and have a backup plan before you ever close. Check the fire zone, call the insurers, and find out whether a single one of them will even cover you. Map 3 years of building out on paper before you so much as touch the ground, and put it all in your diary so you can look back at it when things get confusing. Add up the acreage you actually need instead of the acreage you want, and understand exactly what a slope is going to cost you before you lose your head over the view. Do those 5 things, and you've done what almost nobody does, which is look the real cost dead in the eye before you commit your whole life to it. Because here's the truth of it, and this is the secret I've been wanting to share with you. The land will not lie to you, but it will not volunteer the truth either. You have to go and ask it. Ask where the water comes from and whether it's still there come September. Ask what burns and who'll insure it. Ask what every acre is going to cost you in the years you can't get back. Count it all, honest, every bit of it, before you put your name to a single thing. Do the counting first. Write it all down in your diary. Keep that copy somewhere safe where you can refer back to it, and everything else gets easier from there. This knowledge has been kept quiet for too long, but I believe nature's wisdom belongs to everyone who's willing to listen and learn.